Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Leslie Weidenbender, and right now we're here with Senate Minority Leader Tim Lanane, who is a Democrat from Anderson. Senator Lanane, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Leslie.
This is your first year serving as Minority Leader in the Senate. Tell us how that's been going so far.
Well, it's been very interesting. It's been a learning experience. I didn't realize exactly what all was involved until I assumed the role. So there have been some challenges. I've enjoyed it, though, very much. I think it really is an opportunity to move our caucus ahead and to make sure that our message gets out, you might say.
There's been a lot of talk about the Republican supermajorities in the House and the Senate, which of course means that they have enough members that they can have a quorum without Democrats even showing up. How does that affect what you do and how you do it?
Well, I think that part of our responsibility is to make them, to remind them, if you will, that having a supermajority means I believe they have a super responsibility too, to make sure that the democratic process is honored. And that means that there's meaningful input from both sides of the aisle. Yes, they have the power, if they so choose, to simply ignore the minority's participation. But I don't think that would be good for democracy, and I don't think that's what the public would want. So it is our duty to make sure at all times that they are mindful of the fact that the minority is here and that we have a very meaningful role to play in the legislative process.
How is your role so far with Senator Long?
Senator Long and I have always had a very cordial and good relationship. That has continued. We have, I think, made sure that we have lines of communication open, and his door is always open to me, my door is always open to him, and it's been very, very good so far.
One of the big decisions that the legislature has to make this year is about Medicaid and whether or not to expand Medicaid. Where do you stand on that, and what will your caucus be doing in that regard?
Well, we have favored the expansion of traditional Medicaid as the most effective way to get the most people in the state of Indiana insured. It's also the way to assure that the most impact for the federal dollars are received by the state. So that has been our position. We have repeatedly put that position out there. We have tendered amendments to have that be the vehicle by which the Affordable Care Act is implemented in the state of Indiana. We will continue to advocate for that. However, because we know that obviously the Republicans have the votes, we're willing to work with them in finding a way which is the most effective way to make sure that the most Hoosiers do have coverage underneath the Affordable Care Act.
I also wanted to ask you about Governor Pitts' tax plan. Where do you stand on his plan to cut income taxes, and where do you think the caucus will go in that regard?
Well, I think that the members of my caucus, I can't speak for every one of them, I know what I'm hearing from my constituents, which is that basically most of them, when they understand what it would mean in terms of the 10% reduction in taxes, say, you know what, I think maybe you ought to look at a more long-lasting way to invest in the state. So I think that the governor has a way to go to convince us that that is the most effective thing to do with the dollars of the state of Indiana at this time. But we're open to listening to his side of that, but I think he has a steep hill to climb.
Senator, thank you so much for being with us here today. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you so much.
I'm Leslie Weidenbender, and this has been Comcast Newsmakers.